Check. Might pick it up. So, cool. So, formative feedback 3. So your third one. So just look at where you're at so far. I obviously haven't gone through that with you before, so I'm just going to go over it all the necessary practical skills.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got your proposal here, so that's good. You haven't done this. You've got a really thorough Gantt chart, which covers it. So that's okay. So you've got initial thoughts, ideas, mind maps, rewards, your pitch process there. Again, I'm just going to caveat in that I haven't watched your pitch, so there might be some depth that you give to your answers and your concepts that I'm not aware of that can help improve your grade.
Yeah.
So just take that with a little pinch of salt, just as an acceptance. There's some things I haven't seen when I give you this feedback. Okay. And then going into kind of research fantasy and then mixing that with the idea of a cataclysmic event or a disaster event. So you look at real world event there with Chernobyl and Pompeii, and then you look at other ways it can happen through that bio version, isn't it, essentially, which you then go and do research for. These bits here looking at how it's represented in other forms of media. Yeah. This is Evangelion, anime, and then manga.
Yeah,
cool. And then some conventions of fantasy, conventions of horror. Okay, cool. And then it's just in space. And then it's color theory, talk about purple because of the royalty and its connection to fantasy. And some primary research that's then led you to make some decisions about the narrative, yeah. And then we're into the research. And then research on caves.
Yeah, I just needed to add that. I've got it separately because Wix wasn't working one day, but I just need to actually put it in.
Okay, cool. I guess for me is the research feels a little like this is very descriptive. Like here, this is just something I've looked at. Here's something with that. There isn't necessarily a level of analysis going on. I've gone through, as you said to me before, and it's about like adding in these sections and how you can use it. But I think for me, just a little bit more of analytical elements to it in terms of, what would that mean for the world? How would that affect what I'm making? How does that change what I'm making? So, for example, here, so you've gone for the bio thing in the end, so the bacteria or some biological event. How could that link maybe to the color, to the corruption of the world? How can I start to explore those ideas and talking through those processes? Because at the moment it's kind of describe the thing, and then I'm going to take a base element. I'm not really exploring it, and I think because of that, we're quite limited in the low grade boundaries, I'd say.
Yeah.
Guess the other thing for me is just seeing the connections now between the research. So you've done it for the world building and it's there, but I don't know if we're getting too much of a sense of that in what you're actually making. There's the stuff about castles, which hopefully will be there when you add your assets that you've made to your practical skills section. But again, from what I saw, you have ruined castles. It was kind of this.
Yeah, I can change that idea a bit, which I've got to talk about.
Yeah, it's that research, just reference images. Like you've built those castle images, you've got an arch, you've got an asset, you've got like an arch, you've got where it comes from, where that idea comes from. Show me that process, because I guess, I can see where your research has headed you from a kind of world building point of view, but I can't necessarily see how that's then led into too much of application other than the selection of color scheme.
Yeah,
and I guess it's similar when we start looking at more practical skills page, which we've got a fair bit to add to.
Yeah.
But on your practical skills page, so we've got kind of level design. Why are we designing it this way? What's the purpose? How's the player enjoying that process? And the level, where's that? So I guess for me, it's seeing that I'm not seeing wider understanding of the decision making and exploration of the elements of game design coming into what you're making.
Yeah.
Or then I'm not necessarily seeing the aesthetic research hitting the practical research. That's nice. It's a good logo. I like it. Biological thing with a tree. I like how it's corrupted. I like how it kind of looks pixely over it because you've done it in blocks, and that's kind of got a sciencey kind of element to it alongside the nature of it. Yeah, that's good. And I've got okay, cool. I haven't seen this before. Yeah, okay. So you've got a lot to write up there. I guess for me, it's just going back to that purpose of why things have been done the way they are.
Yeah.
And then you've got this. So you need to add your second feedback piece and do your write up on what you did then to what you were intending to do at that point to address these issues. Simon Fraser. Bibliography then good. If you use AI to do this, I just need to show you a form that you'll need to fill in just to say AI help me with this. But that's fine. Cool. Okay. So I would say where we're at, like, you know, it's fine, it's good.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'd say, but it's at that pass mark. I just feel Jack, probably throughout the year, you've been sitting here when I think you're actually capable of being much higher.
Yeah.
Has this been said before?
No, actually.
Okay, I think I put it in one of your feedback. I think I did. I think I put it in your feedback. I feel like, I think you've got a good head. I think you know what you're doing. I think you understand things. I think maybe there just needs to be a little bit more of a push and a dedication to the depth. Because I think you get what you're doing and how you're making it. Not kind of necessarily in that documentation. You're able to work quite effectively.
Yeah.
I think at this point, what I need to see to get into those merit areas is that show me that real understanding between your understanding of the fantasy genre and what's implemented. All those different things are implemented. They are, but it's not. The links are too soft. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get what you mean.
Cool. Because I need that depth there, that understanding, the purpose of why I'm doing this and creating it. And even like, you know, making, you know, it's got a little bit of a kind of this purple to it. You've got this kind of vibe going on, right?
Yeah.
And you're starting to get there. But it's just that pushing it further, like, what's this corruption? How I'm thinking that I guess that's probably the key thing for me. Is like early on you established like corruption is a big thing. We need this corrupted environment. How are you showing that corruption? Where's that story of that corruption? You've started to build it, but then where's the realization of it in the textures and the design? Do we have, you've got the tree, so maybe there's thorns growing out and corrupting around the stones of the cart, like all those little things. It's showing me that side of it. Obviously, we're quite late in the project now, so what you build that way, going to focus on getting your practicals sorted and getting it all written up and getting your final evaluation done. But then go back and see if you can just show me more of that understanding of how that context and research is implementing into the practical skill development. Yeah. Okay, so I'd say, you know, we're at that pass mark because there's understanding subject context used appropriate to make judgments. There's sufficient relevant information that's been gathered. From what I've seen in your practical skills, obviously there's a bunch to be finished off there, but it looks like there's adequate range of processes, knowledge demonstrated, competent execution, and then reflection at the moment. Obviously, we need the substantial evaluation, reflection, practical skills, but at the moment, it's looking like it's clear evidence about evaluation, analysis. That further connections between the fantasy elements and the corruption and your final design, that's that good understanding of subject context. Yeah. And that level design, why is that player path? Why is it that way? Why are there different paths for the player to take? Is that because it's like a sim game, or is that just to give the player an illusion of choice, or is that because one will be blocked off and it just allows you to move in different environments? Explain the purpose behind that rather than just being thorough, sustained research and investigation. So again, I wouldn't say it's thorough. It's sustained because you've looked at lots of things, you've gone through, but thorough. Yeah. Consistent, appropriate processes, skills, and knowledge. Again, that might bump up to there. Develop creative solutions. That's where I want to see those level design choices or visual impacts. Yeah. And then effective communication, analysis, interpretation, synthesis of information. That synthesis that bringing together that disaster element, the fantasy element, medieval, all those things. Okay, cool. I think, yeah, focus on getting everything sorted onto your website, secure that pass mark, start looking at where you can build into that merit mark. But I think next year you need to just focus more, and get yourself kind of adding that depth, because you've got it up here. It's not coming up here.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Any questions?
No, not really.